Hi Spicewood kiddos, it's Miss Rayborn here. Hopefully you gathered together your sketchbook, a pencil, and some crayons or markers, up to you. I have an extra eraser because my pencil's running low, and I'm just gonna put these off to the side so that I can open up my sketchbook to a blank spot. So you get to decide this week what you want to be inspired by. You could be inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe's beautiful flower paintings and those feelings and emotions. You could be inspired by one of her landscape paintings, which is the outdoors, a beach or a mountain or some trees or a lake. You also could be inspired by her drawings of bones, and you could draw yourself a longhorn bone if you wanted to. Miss Rayborn has in my classroom some pretend flowers. These are made out of fabric, out of silk, and I'm going to look at this one as I draw it. So one of the things that we know about Georgia O'Keeffe is she likes to draw things really big. I'm going to put this so big up to the screen that it's going off the edge. That's what we're talking about. So I'm going to focus on putting this part that's in the center a little bit off to the side. So instead of putting it right in the middle, I'm going to put it off to the side, and mine has sort of a little spot. It looks like something was supposed to be there. I might add some patterns into it later. And then I'm going to look really carefully. Now, you're at home, you might not have any silk flowers. You might have actual flowers to look at. You could also look on your computer for some pictures of some flowers. It's up to you. So I see that this one, I want you guys to look kind of carefully at it. It has these little stems coming up, stamens that have little bits of what is pollen on them. So if I was drawing up like this, these little pieces that are coming out, right? The other thing is, see how really nice and big there are. There's a lot of them. There's some that come up a little bit higher, back behind. There's some that come out this way and kind of in between. And then they all have sort of a clumpy kind of a pollen on them. So I'm just making these little clumps of this pollen on top of there in the center. And I don't have to be super detailed in this particular drawing because I'm going to be adding color. So I'm just kind of making some glops there for the center. And I think I'm going to make the inside of this kind of fuzzy. I think something has fallen out of here. Now I'm looking at my petals, and I can see that at first there's kind of some smaller petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sort of around the center. And then look at this, how they're smaller, and then they get bigger, and then they get bigger. So there's sort of almost like 3 sizes. I'm going to show you on mine. There's a smallest one, a medium-sized one, and a biggest one. So I'm not sure how much of that will show because, again, we're kind of looking at this like this, right? We're not going to see all of it. So if I've got a petal that's kind of coming out this way, and these petals have sort of a ruffly edge to them. They're not perfectly rounded. So I'm also going to do that with the edges of my flower petals. So it's coming out around like this and coming back in and then coming out. Maybe that one goes off the edge. There goes the other edge. And then maybe there's one that goes off this way, but I can't see all of it. Now there would still be back behind here another petal. That's not the background. There's another one back behind here. So I'm going to draw in the outer edge of these. So you can see I've really filled my whole page with my flower, right? I've got a few details in there, but now I'm ready to start adding some color. So in our last couple of weeks, we had several videos from Miss Deb about how to blend together colors. So I'm just going to do a little bit of quick reminding. So these stems are sort of a orangey yellow, and you absolutely could decide to change the color of your flower or what you're looking at based upon the emotion that you want people to feel when they're looking at it, right? Whether it's a flower or a landscape or any of the above. So Miss Rayborn's just starting to put in some of that yellow, and I'm gonna blend some yellow on top of this orangey yellow. I think I might even do a little bit of blending around the outside with a little bit of green, right? And I'm kind of going around and I'm blending my colors in. Now I would want to keep going all the way around. This one is my pollen on the end. I may discover that, so I make sure that I can see the little details of it, I might need to use a little bit of black. Like I kind of like that I'll have to go around and do that to all of my flowers. But I don't want you to have to sit and watch me. I'm just making these little bubbly kind of spots that I see there that are there. Now, when I start to draw and shade one of my petals, I think I'm gonna go with kind of a realistic color, except I'm gonna kind of mix these two guys together. So I'm gonna have, I think I'm gonna use these 3 colors. So way down in the center, it's gonna be orangey. Oh, I keep doing that, but that just means I have 2 now, which is kind of exciting. So way down in here, it's gonna be kind of orangish, right? Now, I know that I wanna blend these colors together. So at first, I'm just making sure I've got enough of that orange color down on the paper, and I'm kind of leaving it almost kind of scratchy out towards the end because I know I'm gonna do some color mixing. This is sort of a reddish orange, okay? That's down in there. If I wanted to be sure that all of this orange really got mixed in down there, I could even use a little bit of orange down here and kind of fill over these colors to really brighten the orange way down in there. So it looks like it's going from orange to red to pink. So I blended a little orange on top of there. Now I'm gonna take the next darkest color, which would be this red. And I'm gonna go right over the top of where I was already coloring because I'm layering over the top, okay? So I'm getting a sum down in here. I'm trying really hard to make those colors look like they're blending together, one over the top. And Miss Deb taught us this trick last week, but we're learning a little bit more about it as we go. So I'm blending some of those colors. I may discover that I need to go back and add some more orange in later, we'll see. So I've got the next step, and then I'm gonna leave kind of an edge, right? A thick edge for blending with pieces that are poking out. Then I'm gonna go to my final color, which is gonna be the super dark. And so I'm gonna go along the edge of my flower petal, and then I'm gonna get this outer edge kind of colored in because this is gonna be the final color. I wanna make sure I don't accidentally color over my edges. So I'm gonna get way out here, and then I'm gonna start blending downwards. Show you what I mean. So I've got that color kind of colored in. It's gonna help me. I'm gonna turn my paper a little bit. It was kind of hard to shade that way. So now I'm gonna start shading down into this sort of pinky purpley kind of a color. And I want them to overlap each other. See how they're overlapping each other? Now I still have a few places where I might decide to go back with that lighter pinky red color because I'm seeing the white of the paper through there. So I'm gonna fill in those spots. The other thing I think I said I might wanna do, and I think I'm going to, because it's too big of a change from this orange to this pink, is I'm gonna use some orange and I'm gonna blend all the way out, even into the kind of purpley color. And I'm also kind of turning my page as I go. That's gonna help this look like it's happening sort of a gradual transition as it goes outwards. And it's sort of blending outwards. Now, obviously, I still have a lot of work to do. I've got one flower petal colored and just a couple of the stems of my poppy that I'm making. So I've got a lot left to do. I might even decide that I need a nice little line. I don't think I want to use black. Sometimes black can be too much. But if I want there to be a nice edge to my petal, I might even use a color that's a little bit darker, like this purple, just to make sure it's kind of separated from the others, okay? So I've still got lots of work to do. I've got one petal down and lots to go, but I want you to try out in your sketchbook being inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe. So you could be inspired and draw a flower, super up close, like a bug's eye view. You could be inspired and draw a landscape and use your crayons to do some blending and shading. You could be inspired and draw some bones like Georgia O'Keeffe and do some blending and shading. It's totally up to you, okay? So next week we're gonna do some sharing. If you haven't had a chance to share your art week from last week's assignment, please make sure you take care of that this week. I want everybody to get caught up because I don't want anybody missing out on one of their assignment participation grades. So I'll see you next week. Bye for now.